we're gonna do right here is go back, way back.
It's the Goin Way Back Show with Money B. Classic hip hop, raw and uncut.
You know what I told Shock one time, and I was like, yo, because he told me, he said, you got to remember something. He said, I'm not Humpty Hump. Humpty Hump is a character that I created. So I'm not even Humpty Hump. It's a character. Yep. And he told me that early, which was super like, it just put it in perspective and made it easier to approach it and stuff. So, but I thought about it and I pondered it for a long time. And I was kind of getting into some deep, like, kind of like reading about some other shit. And I came to the deduction that I came to realize that I think Humpty Hump is like if you look at history, you know, you have like throughout history, there were like famous court jesters, but in some places, the court jester is more legendary than the king of the time. You know, kings come and go, but there were like, you know, famous comedian dudes that went from town to town in wagons, and they were around for 50, 60 years and loved by people, and kings are getting their heads chopped off left and right, and ain't nobody knowing their names. But I looked at it like Humpty Hump, he conjured the spirit of like the greatest one of those throughout time and brought it into modern times, like the illest all time, just fun, get him up, have you going character. He just channeled the energy into the spirit, into this time. And that's how I look at Humpty Hump, to get all heavy, to get all deep and scientific and pull out some scrolls. But that's how I look at it, because it's really something, like you said, the way if everybody loved it. Gangsters, you know, people that are like squares, everybody loved it. Kids, you know, everybody was fucking with it. There's nobody that wasn't fucking with it.
I think it's great, Chris, that you are envisioning something in that character and getting it. And I told Chris this before. I saw that the performance at Ruby Sky and all in the city, and it's literally a fine dance to have one foot in the traditional and one foot in his own, or one foot in the character, nail it, and then one foot out, because you do have to make it your own. And I felt like he did both. He did it brilliantly. So,
man, you honor me, my brother. I can't thank you enough.
But it explains it, because you have a vision of the character and an understanding of it. And trust me, we geek out on this stuff all the time. You can never overdo it, bro. I'm telling you right now.
You know, what's amazing, man, is you know, one of the things that amazed me is like the intuition that Shock had, like the way it was like, how could he have known that it would work so well? Like, it's crazy. Like, I'd be like, man, it's just crazy. It's like, wow, it's really amazing, man. You know what I mean? It's really amazing. And I'm just honored to be a part of the legacy, man. You know what I mean? Like, and hearing that from you, you know, and having heard it from Shock, it's just, I can't even tell you how, like I said, you honor me with that, brother. I mean, I appreciate you, man. I love you for that, for real.
That's you. Love you back. That's you, man. That's you putting that energy and that focus into it. That's what it's all about. Man. It's all about.
We knew that Shock, you know, if we were, you know, if that day it ever came when we all got back together, it was the perfect scenario for Shock, because he's like, in a way, he finally got to break free of Humpty Hump. Because even Kent, when you did it, he still had to mouth the vocals, right? So he could never, I told Chris earlier, you know, one thing that I knew, he always wanted to be able to be behind the keyboards during the Humpty dance and to really freak the bass line the way that he knew that he could, right?
Right.
And he never got to do that. So I know that's what and that's why he was always searching, you know, in search of Humpty, so that he could show the world Shock G, at least for that moment in time, to do that song. I just believe that, like you said, you have to own it, make it your own, and then especially, you know, I always say, like, for one, Humpty Hump is like Batman, it's a character. But then also, now you have to realize Young Hump is another character. a derivative of. So you're not held to have to smoke cigars like Humpty did,
Hey,
or
real
drink,
quick,
or drink the
real
same
quick.
liquor. You can do whatever you want.
Hey,
So there has to be some freedom to that, right?
Hey, not
Right.
to interrupt you. My phone is on 1%, so if it cuts, I'll reappear in about 7 minutes. Just giving you a heads up. Keep going. Just want you to know.
But Chris, explain the freedom of thinking that you have to be Humpty Hump to being allowed to create a whole new persona.
Yeah, I mean, the way it started was, me in efforts to participate in the movie. And then before the movie even got to happening, he connected me with you on some live show shit, and then started off as Humpty. And then we had the situation with the conflicting show in the same region within 30 days, and we had to switch it up. So he was like, all right, you got to create your own character. And then he was like, and he's like, at first I was like, what should we call it? He's like, I'll leave that to you. You figure it out. And then, so I sat and thought about it, and then I just, like I said, made it mine, and just kind of thought about what I could do, but I always made sure to keep certain things like that, always brings people right back to the one everybody's like, it's like literally just that right there is like some certain things that always are like resets, like boom, you know what you're rocking. You know what you're rocking with. Like, it's certain things like that. So yeah, I mean, just the freedom he gave me, man, it can't be understated. He was never possessive of it. He was never like, this is how you got to do it. No micromanaging, none of that. He was like, do your thing. Even with the movie, he was like, yo, when you're doing the movie, if there's something you want to do and you're not sure if I would do it like that, but you think it'd be dope, do that shit. He said it exactly like that. I remember I was standing in the parking lot of a Ralph's. He was like, do that shit. Just, if you think it'll be dope, don't worry, just do that shit. And I was like, man, taking the pressure off of Brother Light. Because to think, it's one thing on some movie shit, it's my first role, but I'm playing a real guy that everybody loves, and I know him. So it's like, I gotta be him for the world, but then my niggas know him, so I gotta like deal with them if the shit's whack. And he just took the pressure off all that and was like, yo, man, if you think it'd be dope, just do that shit. And it was the same way with the performance. He always was encouraging me to stretch out, open it up, be free with it. And just what that does, it makes it as fun as it could ever be. And it makes it as creative. I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's unspeakably giving. That's why I say the G is for generosity. We know it's genius, but the G is for generosity, man. Because that's like, and he gave all of us families. Like, he gave people families. Like, it's like literally, like, so many people part of the DU family. It's not even the DU crew anymore. It's the DU family. You know what I mean? So it's amazing, man. It's really amazing.
We're going to miss you, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep the things lit for you. Love to your whole family. Condolences to the whole Digital Underground. Shout to Tupac. Shout to Fuse and Mon. And just everybody else that loves you worldwide. We're going to miss you, but we're going to hold it down for you. We'll see you when we get there. All right? Salute, Shock G. Salute, Hump. Love you.
One thing that I've noticed too, and I noticed this when I played Humpty, is as long as you nail the voice to a certain point, you got carte blanche, because it's almost like hearing that rock band or someone with the tone and the same thing that you heard on the record. You know what I mean? That got you sprung. That I always felt was important, and Chris got that definitely at the performance I saw.
Oh, I appreciate you guys.
And the one in the movie as well. But
I
think that is something that gives you a lot of artistic movement and way to go, because it's undeniable when you hear the voice. It's almost like that's Humpty. You know what I mean? Like, you're in character. It's almost like impersonations. When people do great impersonations, it's like, wow, because they nail that voice and it puts you back into that person's moment, whoever they're impersonating.
I also think it's the energy as well. Like, you can't have the voice but still be like moving,
right?
You know, because the Humpty lineage that I know is boisterous, confident. Yep. That's why he's able to wear the clothes that he wears.
Yeah,
right.
He can wear whatever he wants to wear because he's so confident. So he's still straight gangster Mac, no matter how he looks.
Right.
So you have the voice, but you have to be able to own whatever you're putting out there, whatever your message is. And I think that's what Shock was saying, like, bro, just own it and get out there and do it.
100,000%. It's like it's a whole vibe. It's like everything. It's like all these things.
Before that slang, they say it's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It really is. You know what I mean? And like, it's amazing because I was a little kid watching the video, just like, this motherfucker's so cool, man. It's just so nutty and just ill and just all of that. And then one of my friends, my man Tumex, man, shout out to Tumex. He said, he said, bro, you live in the ultimate hip hop fantasy secret identity shit ever. And I was like, damn, he's so right. Like, I didn't even think of it like that. But then here's another thing. I hope my phone don't cut off in the middle of me saying this, but one of my favorite movies growing up is that movie, The Princess Bride. And in the movie, The Princess Bride, the main dude, he's the Dread Pirate Roberts. And then he reveals that he's not the original Dread Pirate Roberts, that the original Dread Pirate Roberts is living like a king in Patagonia. And he had the mask, and he gave the mask to dude, and dude continued with the name and the ship, and everybody thought it was the same guy. And that was one of my favorite movies growing up. So for me to kind of arrive in the hip hop version of that was nuts. I was like, yo, I'm the fucking hip hop Dread Pirate Roberts, Humpty Hump. Like, that shit crazy. It's nuts. It's nuts.
The best thing that you said about that is you said as a kid you was watching him thinking he's so cool, but that's tells you it worked because he was cool. He was wearing plaid pants and a striped jacket. Like, that really wasn't cool, like, in our culture, but he made it cool because he was that cool, which was so
and you
amazing.
know what's crazy you say that, because he told me that the original, when he did the Do What You Like, and he didn't even have the name yet for Humpty, he referred to the voice as the nerd voice, just as a quick before he even came with the name. So that was kind of like just the playful, oh yeah, the nerd voice, and then it evolved into Humpty Hump. But with me, I was a little kid, and he's had his arm around two girls, he's lit, you know what I mean, he's just wilding, and I'm like, yo, this is motherfucker cool as shit. So I never ever thought of him as a nerd until Shock said that. And I was like, huh? I mean, we all music nerds and all that, whatever, but I never looked at it like that and was like, oh shit. Because to me, he was just silly and just cool. So then that was kind of like my interpretation of it. So that sort of in a way, I guess, helped me kind of find my own thing. Like you said, I got one part of it is the tradition, but one other part of it is like making it mine or whatever. So like that shit is crazy. And I'm just honored that he gave, including me in that. Cause like when I say that, I don't mean to say making it mine. I'm just saying like he told me to, make it mine is a new character. And just like, it's just incredible, man. The visionary aspect of it is just it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable.
Sure. There's a song, real quick, man. There's a song called The Politics of Dancing. It came out in the 80s. Can't remember the group, who it was by, but partying is very political. You know what I mean? When people are allowed, like I heard all the marijuana laws from the federal government back in the day was to keep Black folks from congregating, to break all that up. When you are oppressed, but you're having a good time, that's a very political thing. And not just the Humpty Dance, but Do What You Like. Those were very liberating songs. And Humpty, the leader, the president of this group called the Slingshots here, that were here at the tributes to Shock here in Tampa. I met him. He looks like a regular dude to me now, but he said he was picked on in high school because of his nose.
That's the guy with the three-wheeler guys?
Yes. Okay. I finally met them, man. I met them Sunday night here in Tampa.
Oh, wait, tell him what you told me. Who else was there?
Oh, who?
You said, was it Charlie Chase? Not Charlie Chase?
No, I met Charlie Chase today. I hung out with him, man. Nice. And I gave him one of Shock's hats. And the hat was a little bit of Shock and a little bit of Humpty. It was a green hat with it was a green stingy brim with a black wrap around it. No, actually this dude named Sandman, who knows Charlie, linked me with him. And he showed me a picture. I'll show you when I get to town. I'll send you a picture. He hung out, man, Charlie Chase. we had a great time, man, talking about, you know, the old days and all. But the leader, the president of they call them slingshots. He described how it empowered him, the Humpty dance. And he was cool. You know, he was one of the cool guys in high school because that song, you know, it empowered him. Yep. And that's, you know, it's not easy. It's so, as an artist, and art, you know, we make what we feel. You know, it's not from the outside in, it's from the inside out. But to make a song that's empowering, that's a party song, I was always proud. Right. I was always proud of Digital Underground because it was a party band. But if you get close, you're gonna learn, you know. And I also, me and Chuck used to talk about how Pac became, you know, Pac was really the fire of politics and, you know, and blackness and stuff. But where did he come from? He came from Digital Underground. And to me, it relates to, you know, that deep humanity, that profoundness of the group, and how that song "Do What You Like" is a very liberating thing, you know. And like the Humpty dance, Samoans do the Humpty Hump. It's an inclusive thing, you know, and it's not easy for art to have that. Most party bands, they just talking about girls and booty and boom. There's rarely the aspect of that, and that's a very high intellectual thing to do, artistically, musically. You know, it's like a funny film that's super political and gets into humanity. Yeah, that's not easy to do. And I was always proud of Digital Underground, you guys, and you know, and I know I asked Jacques I asked him how he made the Humpty dance, and that all. He said Fuse came in with the drums. It was some boom, 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 boom. That was something out on the streets at the time. He said that was a collage of people coming together. You know what I mean? And he was never like, you know, do it this way. He never worked like that. He was never
just like, well, we just
like
put it
Prince.
in there. Let's go. Right.
Yeah, he was never like Prince. He had to do every little sound and all. But I was always proud of the group, of you guys, and just, you know, the fact that it was a party band. But if you get close, it's gonna touch the humanity in there somewhere. It ain't just about, you know, bitches and chains and we getting the booty and we drinking, we smoking blunts. And I thought that was a very, very deep aspect of the music.
It was.
I think it's almost better to put a vitamin in the McDonald's than trying to just say we don't need McDonald's. Obviously, we know that food is poison, but it's here now, and right. Obviously millions of people are digging this food.
I love that analogy. I'm using it.
And yeah, put a vitamin in that, and that's why myself and learning from him, I don't have an idea of pop music being, you know, pop music sucks. And, you know, yeah, it doesn't touch everybody. It doesn't have to touch you if you ain't into it, but it's popular for a reason. And it is what it is. The business is involved, and, you know, not everybody are musicians. Not everybody plays an instrument. Some people just vibe on the music, and that's fine. And I stretch, and I'm not afraid of, for my own work, I'm not afraid of pop music. I'm not afraid of being popular, because
that's what it means, being popular.
Being popular. And here's my point too, is you make the music, artist. The artists make the music. Make pop music that gets through to people. That's on us. It's on you as the artist. You know, make the music. It can be popular and have the hooks. All my favorite bands did it. The Police, George, One Nation Under a Groove. Come on. That's on the artist. And that part came through. That was a heavy influence from P-Funk, of course, to Digital Underground. You know, make that party music where you're getting some knowledge in there. You know what I mean? You might not even know it. Some people sing that song. Maybe they're just singing the words, but it's getting through somehow.
Yeah, it's seeping in.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, striving for, you know, being the biggest band ever or whatever, trying to reach as many people as possible. I've never shied away from that. You know what I mean? And that idea of it blowing up, it's like, cool, you know, you can dance to this. It's spiritual. It had all the elements of something for mass appeal. You know, it was an incredible thing to me. I was so impressed with you guys and, you know, and just how it all happened. And yeah, man, it's incredible.
Hey, what's up? This is Big Daddy Kane, and I'm just sitting here reminiscing, man, you know, being out on the road on my Chocolate City tour and sharing the stage with Digital Underground and the amazing times that we had with these guys, man, you know, coming around with their water guns, shooting us with super soakers and whatnot. And then at any given night, you come downstairs around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, seeing Shock G just sitting there at the piano in the lobby, getting it on, just playing and whatnot, man. It was beautiful times, and I'm glad that I was able to have them to spend with you, brother. Rest well. Much love, Shock G.
You know, it was always cooler to kind of win your way or grace your way into situations or a club or somewhere, you know. And we were just talking about how some of the music was made. You know, Shock would never force it. He would never, you know, but on the other side of that, if he was like, ooh, like he talked about the Humpty dance, and Dave Fuse was like, man, we gotta have that boom, boom in there, boom, boom. There was something on the street. I just saw his name. Somebody that Fuse was a big fan of on the streets at the time. It'll come to me, but Mun, you might know of it too. But he was just feeling that boom, boom, boom. Oh, was it Keek the Sneak was out then?
No, he wasn't out then. Not in '88.
That was later.
It was in '88. It was like EPMD, Too Short.
Was Mac Dre?
Mac Dre was not in '88.
No, Mac Dre was after. But
No. I'm sorry. Remember, we were making the. No. We made the Humpty dance in '89.
Right.
So around that time, so
Right.
it was like I said, it was Too Short, Big Daddy Kane, PMD, Public Enemy. I'm trying to think in the Bay, Short, because we were before Spice One, we were before Pooh Man was out, but that wasn't it. I know at the time, Fuse was a club DJ, so he had the pulse on whatever was popping in the clubs.
Yeah.
So he could tell us. And Chris, I don't know if I ever told. I think I told you. Like, I remember when they made the Humpty dance. I went out that night, and Fuse and Shock stayed. So I knew, and I always said that Shock's drums were always whack. So I knew that if the drums were popping, not the break, you know, Shock could pick the break. So sing a simple song, you know, that was him. But if the drums, because he had his drums, he didn't have a drum machine. Everything came off that sequencer. He had the Roland, and then he had the Yamaha thing. So the drums were always light, right? So we always had to kind of fix them for him. But he knew he was such a musician, he didn't really care about. He knew in his mind, I believe he thought his musicianship overpowered what the drums were. You know what I mean? Like the drum, like for us in hip hop, the drums are everything. Right. You're like, whatever, I got these chords, I got this thing. The drums are just gonna complement it. Coming from hip hop, we like, man, your drums ain't really up to
need some
drums.
Huh? Need some woo. It needs some woo.
Yeah. So it makes sense. Like I know that. Because I know in Freaks of the Industry, Fuse definitely, those were Fuse made those drums happen.
Oh, really? Wow.
In the last version of Freaks of the Industry.
Wow. But we always thought too, another secret and it's this, again, it comes from P-Funk, how, you know, people would just come in from everywhere. And I believe this to this day, that when you have an idea, and Prince is a genius, I'll just say that first. But I think some of the most creative stuff is when people come in with their own idea of it and take it to another level, you know, because like I know all the rock musicians, for my style of music, I try to get people who are better than me at that. Like some recordings, I played everything, the drums, the guitar, the bass, maybe a piano part. The cat I work with, I want them to be better than me at it, and they can take that idea and run with it, you know. And Shock was a huge believer in that. And also, you know, P-Funk was such a collage of types of musicians. Some were classically trained, you know, the horn came from James Brown, and they were all incredible musicians. That's another part. Having that high IQ of what you're doing and a high talent, it's just, it's a pot. It's just going to be good food when it all cooks. It's going to be tasty when it all cooks.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. You're right.
Hey.
You said it. Different types, high level, that share in the same intention. So the intention is the same, to make some progressive, wonderful shit, but they coming in with different skill sets and different, you know, musical, cultural things that they bring it in, but they meet in the middle. So it just naturally, it's incredible. It's really amazing. That's a great point you point. And there you go. So going back to digital, like what, for example, what Saphir represents on the microphone, he comes with a whole other thing. Then, you know what I mean? It's like that is what made, you know, digital so ill. Like, it's amazing.
Man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Saphir, man. When I heard him, I was like, wow, kid got straight fire, man. And
man, I didn't, you know, I had forgotten that he was part of digital, and I got his solo album. Like, I just didn't, you know, at that time I wasn't, you know, so then I was following him for years, and the years later, I went back to the, you know, the D-Flow and was like, oh shit, that's right. He's like, I had forgotten that. And I was like, so when you look at it, you could be like, you know, you can look at digital, you got Shock, you got Mun, you know, MCs, but then it's like you got Pac, but then you also got Saphir, and you could almost go as far to say they're like yin and yang. Like Pac is giving you those human anthems that are just taking just humanity, like Dear Mamas and Keep Your Head Up, whereas Saphir is just giving you that straight alien technology, ill, solo, crazy, like, you know, it's just amazing, you know, and then it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and like the piano part in Aqua Boogie, there's a part at the end of it. And the other thing, a lot of people, like from the P-Funk, they think funk is a particular type of music.
Right.
We thought funk was a process. Like, you're bringing in, the funk represented, like, we're going to take a guy from classical music. We're going to take a little piece of James Brown's horns. We're going to take the phenom, 16-year-old phenom bass player from James Bootsy, you know, and we're just going to bring all of this crazy. Michael Hampton was like 16 when he did the Maggot Brain solo. So, and you know, Funkadelic, half of them were rock cats. So let's just take, the funk was, it came out like, you know, we call it P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic, but the funky part to us was, who are you bringing together? Now, it can be as far out as you can, but again, if everybody has the same purpose, they're all for the same point, it can be magic. It can be hit and miss. Some of that P-Funk stuff is like, ooh, some of that Funkadelic is like, ooh, they won't, you know. But when it does lock in, it's so special and so unique, you know. And you know, we heard later on, you know, all the craziness with George and some of the money and the drugs and the this and the that. But when it hit, you know, it was so incredible. And seeing them live is just, I can't even explain it, seeing them live, you know, because they didn't go anywhere. They did some parts of the recorded song that you remember, that you know. They always give you something to latch onto. But man, the musicianship and the chaos, you know, it's just magic.
Chaos.
It's so, to me, we used to talk about how the magic is so far because there's so many great points and variables that you bring in. And when it takes off, it just goes. It just goes, you know, and the highs are so high, you know.
You said it.
The highs are just magic. And, you know, those albums, you know, Shock used to research how those records were made, you know, and a lot of them, you know, the stories are like all they heard were the drums on, I don't know, take your pick. It could have been Color Me Funky, or I don't know, like all these crazy stories of how this music was recorded. And, you know, digital wasn't as chaotic, but trying to bring
But we were.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was gonna say. So it makes sense because it was always like Shock had to teach me is like it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there with the music, because you know I always tell people we recorded on on the Body Hat Syndrome. I remember him not liking how we tracked it on the 2-inch reel, and we ended up using the 4-track of the 2-track of the 4-track and dumping it from the 4-track as our drum. So we didn't even have the drum beat stemmed out. He just liked it from the 4-track so much, and he couldn't get it to sound the way that he liked it, that we just dumped it 2-channel from the 4-track onto the 2-inch reel.
Wow.
That's that magic, man. Some shit is, you know.
And like he told, Mike Denton told me, Shock, they mastered a record, and Shock was like, yo, we need to put some, I need to add a little keyboard to that. And Mike Denton was like, yo, Shock, it's mastered already.
Done.
And he was like, did we turn it in yet? And he's like, no. He's like, then it's not done. So Shock just played keyboard over the master copy of the record. Shit that you would never, they would tell you can't do. Right. He's like, whatever gets it done, gets it done. And, what I learned and I heard, because, if you're not a Digital Underground fan, people assume that I'm on every single song, right? But I'm only on the songs that Shock thought I sounded good on. Like, he used my vocals as an instrument as opposed to using it as, hey, this is my man. You gotta get 4 verses, or I need to have you on 6 songs or whatever. It's like whatever he thought, however many songs he thought that my vocals lended to the track.
Money B,
the songs that I was on.
You that saxophone. It's like saxophone.
Hold on one second. I gotta fix the speaker. Say something?
Yo.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I was saying you like that saxophone. When when you listen to albums where there's too much sax, it takes away from the sax. But when the sax is right where it's supposed to be, it's you know what I mean? Certain things are so good that when you overuse them, you know what I mean? It's like you gotta be masterful to be like, I'm gonna make you miss it here and then bring it back, and it's like, oh, there it goes. And he was
he was wise with that. And something I wanted to add to what you said too about, it goes back to what you were saying, Kent, like when you study the way albums are made, because motherfuckers will just listen to shit over and over again, but not get into how it was made. And then when you get into how it was made, it opens your mind. Like I would assume, I could be wrong, but I would assume probably somewhere he heard about people playing on, you know, you can go into the mastering studio. Big bass Brian Gardner at Bernie Grumman told me that. And then I remember hearing RZA did an interview where he said the song he has called I Can't Go to Sleep, it's a Wu-Tang song, with Isaac Hayes is at the end sings and talks. And Isaac never got it done, and he came to the mastering facility and they plugged in and he recorded his vocals at the mastering facility at the end. Like, there's no rules. Like you said, if it hasn't been shipped off the print, it's still, you know what I mean? You can still freak it.
I got a question for you. What song do you remember Shock laboring over the most? And ultimately, if I could really get the answer I want, give me the full, if you can remember, if it comes to mind, like what track, what piece of music, what song vocally. Like, for example, if I was gonna guess, I would imagine vocally it might be Kiss You Back, because it's such a symphony of voices and different things going on, like, for example. And then also what song, perhaps just the mix in general, if you remember those kind of things, if anything comes to mind. It might be one song, be all of that, like all of it is done, but I'm just curious.
Well, there's two songs that I would say, and I'm not even sure if either one would answer the question, but I remember, or no, I would have to assume in Sons of the P, there were so many parts, and it was George Clinton for the first time coming in. That was a record that was like, and I remember it was just like, you know, how you just envision Parliament and P-Funk camping out. That's how that session was.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Mike Hampton, motherfuckers in diapers sitting in the corner and eating whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of them real ones where it's like you had to, and then when you listen to it, it's very intricate. You know what I'm saying?
The space.
Yeah. And then, you know, the Humpty dance, right? So the thing about that was, you know, the 4-track version was the Bible. That was the vibe, right?
I would love to hear that, by the way, man. I think you have a copy, huh?
Yeah, I have it.
I would love to hear that. Yeah.
I'll send you a copy.
That. I appreciate that.
So, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
When we did the song, we went in the studio and we tracked it. Obviously, the 2-inch adds a little more meat, you know, the analog, right? Even though it's 4-track, it has more meat, which we liked. You know, that's what the sound was. But when he did the vocals, we couldn't, like, we had to come back to the studio 3 times for him to track the vocals because we couldn't catch that vibe that we wanted. And I just remember we in there and it was like one time we just.
Wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you mean like you couldn't catch the vibe, like just energetically? He was like,
energetically.
It ain't lit enough.
Because back then we thought that because everybody liked the 4-track version so much, we tried to recreate it. And for some reason we couldn't get that same energy, that vibe. And I think like on the 3rd time we were there, he's recording it. And I said, hold on. I stopped and I said, Hennessy. We went and got a big ass bottle of Hennessy. And then
wow.
Because when they recorded it, you know, they was at the house kicking it. And that was the vibe.
Yeah.
He was trying to come in and just spit it like on some, I'm going in 2 hours, I'm gonna do it, on some business shit. And it wasn't working.
Right. I'm so glad too, man, by the way, that you guys can continue to work. Y'all can go make some money. I know Shock wasn't always keen on touring and doing stuff, but you know, you guys, you know, I'm just glad you guys can get back and work. You know, and at this point, y'all can probably release something new now too. You know what I mean? You know.
Well, like I told you, I'm gonna get with X and see, you know, him and Mike D, see what they got, what we all have collectively, because it could be a way for us to come together and finally do this collaborative digital album with everybody on it. If the sprinkles of Shock G kind of binds it, you know what I mean? Because I know Dot Forex, he has Shock play a bunch of keyboards on some drum beats he was making that he had used. Talk to Mystic, you know, the songs he played extra long, so they're chords that he didn't use. Raw Fusion, I could pull up shit and find undercurrent vocals that, you know what I mean? And even the Talking Dirty album, which didn't really sell anything, we could reimagine it. You know what I mean? Like, we could do that, but let's just bring everybody together.
Hey, I just gotta throw something. You know what's crazy? That's what's so crazy about my experience with Shock, because I never got to do any music with the nigga, man. Like, we had this, I mean, Jesus, we performed together, you know, I got the movie situation. He mentored me in how to do it on stage. We got all this unique shit. I have videos of him where I sent him music of mine, and he even sent me a video of him listening to one of the songs, and he's humming what my beat to me, you know, and then talking about it. But I never got to actually do music with him. And that's some shit that it bothered me for a couple days. And then I sat and thought about it, and I was like, it just adds to the illness of it. Like, in a way, like, it's something about it is like, it's just even that much like iller. Like, I'm like, it's just ill. I was like, that's ill. Like, we didn't even do music. Like, you know, like one of those things you hear certain, you know, guys will be like, man, like, how the fuck Busta Rhymes and Pete Rock never did anything? They both Jamaican, or like some shit like that. You know, I know they finally did, but I remember that conversation like before, people saying shit like that. And like certain, you know, relationships people have, it's not about like, it's like just some other shit. It's people, just being people. It isn't about we have to go to the studio and make a song right now. And so anyways, that was just something. But
and I'm looking at it more like on back tip, like Mystic even said, it's a way to congregate, come together for something. And if it turns into something, then it's a way for us to even travel further together, right? That's why I said, you know, let's figure it out.